Okay. And here we are. I put myself a big sign so I don't forget to record. Thank you so much for being here. We have a very, very special guest this morning to give us important information about the COVID crisis that has changed our lives forever, I think. My name is Susana Bauman. I'm the president and CEO of Latinas in Business. It's a national organization that advocates for the economic empowerment of Latinas and other minority women entrepreneurs. I hope everybody's safe and trying to do their best. These are very challenging times. And I think we only will prevail and overcome this very important challenge with our sense of community and solidarity and with the help of everybody. So before I introduce our very important guest this morning, I wanted to let you know that you can use the chat tool or the Q&A to ask questions. And Wendy is going to try to answer all your questions at the end of the presentation. However, if we don't have the time, obviously, I will gather all the questions and refer them to Wendy or one of her assistants, and we will answer all the questions to the best of our ability at a later time. And you also will receive the recording of the session, so you don't miss any information whatsoever. And so just be patient with us. So Wendy Garcia, our guest speaker this morning, is the Chief Diversity Officer for the Office of the New York City Comptroller, Scott Stringer. So proud of you, Wendy, because it's fantastic to see a Latina in such an important job. You have worked very, very hard to get there. Nobody has given you anything. So it's all your own merit. She's responsible for increasing contracting opportunities for women and minority-owned businesses with the Office of the Comptroller in New York City. And she manages the Comptroller's Office Internal Supplier Diversity Initiative, as well as other diversity-related projects across all bureaus of the agency. The Comptroller's Office of Diversity Initiatives every year releases a report, making the great New York City agency report card on minority and women-owned businesses enterprises. And that report examines how well the city agencies meet existing supplier diversity goals while outlining diverse measures that would take to increase the participation of women and minority in the city contracting. So we are here with Latinas and with the person who is responsible to oversee all these opportunities. So this is a fantastic opportunity to know more about what you do. So Wendy, we would like to hear all the information you have gathered, especially for small businesses that seem to be having some trouble in getting the help they deserve.
Great. Thank you so much, Susanna, for having me in this virtual space. It's actually sometimes kind of nice if you think about what's been happening post-COVID, and that we do get to bring people from all over the place. I'm assuming not everybody on the call is from New York. So we get to meet powerful Latinas from across the nation doing big things in their businesses. And I think today what I am really hoping to do is provide you with information as it pertains to resources that the city has, opportunities to still do business with the city, opportunities that the federal government has. There's a lot of new information as of this morning. So my presentation will show, I'm hearing feedback for whoever doesn't have their phone on mute.
Yes, can you please, can you please mute yourself? So I'm trying to mute some participants, but so we don't have any feedback or, background noise. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
And the idea behind it is that we'll give you in this presentation information for city opportunities, state opportunities, what is happening with the federal government now, and more importantly, what everybody wants to know is no one's interested in loans, private sector grants that are available throughout the nation that you can still apply for, that are particularly for women and people of color. I'm going to give a special shout out to Catherine Pichardo, who's on the call, and she actually is the author of one of the grants that we'll be talking about today. So I may have her chime in a little later if she would like. I'm not,
okay, very
I'm
good.
not sure,
No
but and then we also have with us Patty Daylag. Patty is the Deputy Chief Diversity Officer in the Office of the Comptroller. Her and I work side by side every day to ensure that contracts and regulations are all making sure that they are there's space for women and minorities across the city. So we are going to head right into the presentation. Susanna, just a quick question. Does Patty have ability to share her screen?
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay, wonderful.
There you go.
Patty's like my right and my left hand and my ear and my nose and everything else. We cannot live without each other. So you'll be hearing me refer to Patty a lot throughout the presentation. Also at the end, of course, I will be taking questions, and if you have any questions, feel free, you can put it on the chat. Patty can also look at the chat and answer your questions as I am presenting. And then if there's leftover questions at the end, we can take them verbally.
Right.
Before I start, I just trying to get a sense of who's in the room. I know there's about 25 participants, but are we mostly, what type of industry, Susanna, can you tell us is in the room?
What I saw from the registration, we had a variety of people from all different industries. We had travel, we had wellness, beauty, consultants, many consultants, I guess the small solopreneurs. So I think it's across the board, and I think we should kind of touch. I think we represent, our organization represents more the solopreneur to 10 employees. So they're very small businesses that are really struggling at this time because there is little, it has been little help for them at this point.
Okay, all right, no problem. All right, so why don't I just go ahead and jump in. What we're gonna be talking about today is resources for small businesses and women and minority owned businesses that have been impacted by COVID. Again, if you're not in New York, it's very New York focused in terms of the city and the state, but the private sector grants are not. So just keep that in mind. If you are interested in doing business with the city, before I start, just very quickly know that you do not have to be located in New York to do business with New York. You just have to be registered with the city, and that we will talk about. We will also talk about today. Okay, so let's jump right in, Patty. This was the agenda, which I think I verbally said already, but first we'll talk about the impact of the coronavirus on women and people of color. Then we'll go into potential opportunities. We'll talk a little bit about grants and funds, and then some federal, nonprofit, and private sector loans, and then we'll go into the Q&A.
Very good, excellent. I think it's a good one.
Okay, so great. Just so that everybody knows, New York City, I'm not sure how many of you located in New York City, but you could maybe press the raise hand. I'll get a quick sense of who. Okay, I see Shirley is located in New York, and we have a couple other raised hands. But what you will hear is that in terms of New York City, we really are unfortunately, the epicenter of where the coronavirus has hit. And that means we are facing the highest amount of deaths. We are also facing the highest amount of challenges as it pertains to women and minorities across New York. This, of course, did not happen because of COVID. We all know that. We know that COVID is not the reason why systemic discrimination is occurring, but just like in every pandemic will expose the nuances that have been given challenges for disadvantaged communities for years. So now COVID is prompting us to really look at these systemic inequities. When we did our analysis on whether the city of New York was doing business with women and people of color, the Comptroller had us take a look at how city agencies were doing business. And we found that only 5% of the city's dollars pre-COVID was going to women and people of color. Are we surprised? I'm going to see some heads say, no, we're not surprised. That means that 95% of the businesses were white male-owned businesses. Now, can you imagine during a time like this, what it means post-COVID? That number is going down. So this is one of the things that we're doing in our office that we want to make sure to address, that 5% doesn't get to 2 and then get to 1 throughout COVID times, because the truth is the city is not closed for business. We are definitely buying items, and you hear the mayor and the governor talk about that all the time.
Right, right.
There was even an analysis done by the city of New York on which were the highest hit areas in the city. And they saw that in northwestern Queens, in northern Bronx, in southern Brooklyn, in parts of Staten Island, and in northern Manhattan, where I'm going to give a shout out to Catherine, who's on the phone, is from, and I believe Jocelyn is also from Washington. I'm just trying to see if I recognize any names on here. But it is the epicenter of where Latinos are in the city. As many of you know, for New York City, Dominican Americans are one of the largest populations, the largest Latino population for the city of New York. And Washington Heights has been the highest hit. The most deaths are happening in the Dominican community. And that really is spilling over, I think, across the nation, where you're seeing that Latinos are having the highest death rates, not just in New York State, but you're seeing that it's a ripple effect across the nation. Again, COVID did not cause this. The systemic inequities that we are currently living is really what you're seeing happening. The Comptroller asked our office to do an analysis on, well, who is it that's going out, who's working, who are our essential workers? And of course, to further prove our point, we found that 60% of our frontline workers were women, 55 were women are women who are people of color, and then 50% were foreign born. So who are we talking about here? Who's on the line? Immigrants, minorities, women. Again, right? So who's going out? Who are the everyday heroes that we're clapping for at 7 o'clock? It's us. And if you take a deeper dive and you look at what the Center for Responsible Lending an analysis as well on just the Paycheck Protection Program, which you've heard a lot about in the news, you saw that 75% of the challenges came from Asian businesses, 91 from Latino business, and 95 for Black and Black-owned businesses. Again, same stat. So I wanted to show you this so you could get a sense of the landscape of how proliferated it is based on what is happening in the city now. Okay, so I'm sure many of you know that there are challenges ahead. Here are ways that you can still do business with the city and the state. So we're going to start first with the state. You have heard Cuomo talk over and over again about the capacity needs for hospitals. And if you look at the capacity needs for hospital, you will hear them say, we need ventilators. That's the first item
Right.
Many of you ask, okay, well, I can talk to a distributor and find ventilators, but what do I do next? Or you'll hear them say, we need personal protective equipment, including N95 masks. We need drugs and consumables, including biohazard bags. Or we need private companies that can assist with the production of COVID-19 antibody tests. These are very new spaces for the city of New York that we need to address. And a lot of what the city is doing is learning and implementing. So what you will hear in our presentation is what you to navigate through through government learning curve and your learning curve as well. Okay. So the way that you would address this, if you want to do business with the state, you would contact the New York State Empire Development State Development Agency. They will give you 3 options. The 3 options will be ready to supply, I am ready to repurpose that production immediately, or you want to volunteer and donate your products. The most important number on here is help filling out the form. It's at 646-522-8477. And then if you have an idea that's out of the box, you're like, I don't offer ventilators, I don't do N95 masks, but I have this really great research concept that I think they need to be looking at to think about recovery. Or I offer these consulting services that are not on that list, but I feel that post-COVID, it will help the state of New York. Then they do have a email specifically for that you can contact. That's called COVID-19 supplies at ESD. And then in your subject, you're going to include COVID-19 business transition. And those are for businesses that want to offer new products, new ideas on how the state can. That way what the state does is they begin to get a sense of who your business is. Of course, they want to make sure that you are a legit business before they respond. Yes,
Wendy,
Susanna?
I have a question. For instance, you said that these are the city. Who are the agencies in the city that buy from the New York State Empire office? I mean, who are the city? For example, give me
Okay,
hospitals, I guess. Who else?
Okay, so let me give you, let me go back one, because I think that this will help you. The way it works is that New York State and New York City, while we are all one umbrella, we function as completely 2 different branches. So under New York State, you have over 2 agencies like the Department of State, like Empire State Development that oversees, like the State Transportation Department that looks at bridges, or the State Department of Human Rights, which makes sure that laws and regulations are in place. And for those particular agencies, they need to buy items, everyday items, from printers to research to food, to make sure that New York City is continuing. I'm going to also go into New York City, and that way, and I'm going to outline the city agencies. Okay. Okay, so for New York City, because as I said, it functions as 2 different branches, what you will be seeing is that New York City needs COVID items and how they can doing business. But if you are a business and you are manufacturing, New York City will put you in the category of getting medical equipment, food, workforce, technology, space, transportation, manufacturing. But if you are a business with ready-made supplies, the businesses that they consider would be ventilators, N95 masks, surgical masks, et cetera, et cetera. There are 2 different forms for that. So for the businesses that are willing to manufacture, you have to fill out the form that's called emergency supply sourcing. And for the businesses that are ready-made supplies to sell and donate, you have to fill out the form that is on nyc.gov. That's why we have it completely separate. Just because you fill out the form for one thing does not mean that you're on for the other.
Okay.
So very important, all those links.
Gotcha.
Here's just the answer, a quick answer to your question earlier, Susanna.
Oh, yeah.
What are the agencies? Remember, these are the city agencies, not the state. I'm just covering city here.
Right.
Our office did an overview, and we called each agency to find out, what are you procuring in the next 3 months? What are you buying? COVID and not COVID related.
Okay.
And so they supplied us with an overview. About 80% of the agencies got back to us. We're still waiting on some. We're waiting about 10 or so new ones. But the categories were for personal protective equipment, laptops, Zoom,
Right.
cleaning goods like Lysol masks and hand sanitizers, and cleaning services, particularly for deep cleaning. I do want to highlight the other item. Because you'll also see that if you are a restaurant and you're here, you'll see the Department of Aging is looking for meals for older adults. They are ones that are delivering food to seniors who cannot leave their homes pre-COVID and post-COVID. And so they need restaurants now who can produce that mass, provide that, and have that food delivered in a safe way. Take a look at the Administration of Children's Services. If you're a child care provider or you own many child care businesses, they're looking for child care services for symbiotic children. And so you want to make sure that you are registered with the City of New York so that you can reach out to these very particular agencies. And unfortunately, you have agencies like the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner having to purchase stretchers and body bags because of the amounts of deaths post-COVID. All very new items that the city has not procured in the past, but in the next 3 months, these are going to be the critical needs.
Right.
And then, of course, you have items like paper for printers, right? And that are hard to get now because the big companies are not supplying quick enough. So the smaller companies are much better at getting it to the agencies. And very minute items that can still keep your business afloat if you get in the game now.
Right. Okay.
For those of you who are not MWB certified, please know that to get certified with the City of New York, there are 12 different ways, but we have made it much smaller for you so that you have a sense of which ones are free and which ones are not free. The Department of Small Business Services has, and these numbers are a little outdated in terms of how many are certified, but the Department of Small Business Services has about 9,000 registrants, and they are free and you can certify with them. Everyone that is in red on your screen is a free service. Then there's Empire State Development. That's with the State of New York. Remember, these are very different. Just because you certify with the Department of Small Business Services doesn't mean you can do business with a state agency. You have a New York State Empire Development certification in order to do that. Then there are others like the New York School Construction Authority, the U.S. Small Business Administration, and that's for the federal government. So you do want to make sure to do that. And then there is the MTA and the Port Authority.
Now, Wendy, is this because the requirements are different, or just because there is no a common pool of certifications that go to one place?
Both. So there isn't a common portal. Actually, about 4 years ago, we put a plan together and spoke with the governor and the mayor at the time about having one common app because the regulations are very similar. Patty, who's on this call, did a lot of the research behind the regulations that fit both the city and the state. So there is an opportunity to do it because the regs are super clear. The portal and the way that it's done in terms of how you retrieve the information, how it's done, that is what it takes much longer. So for now, it is,
Okay.
they're all separate, and you have to do separate applications, unfortunately. There are other certifying entities. If you're LGBT, there's the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. Then there's the New York, New Jersey Supply Diversity Council, WIPO, which is Women's Presidents Organization. And then just keep in mind that those normally have a fee. The fee numbers may be off on this one. And in addition, they will also provide you direct contact with the private sector, which is something the city does not do. So a lot of businesses I know will opt in to paying the fee because they say, hey, I got access to Microsoft, I got access to Johnson & Johnson, I got access to AT&T, and do it. Some people are like, I don't need it. I can just go with the city agencies, certification, and find these other things on my own. So it really is up to you.
Hey, Wendy, can I ask a question real quick
Of
in regards
course.
to going through SBS in order to do a city certification?
Yes.
Because I know there's a fast track you can do where you do both the city and state at the same time.
There is.
Do you get approved by the city first before it gets submitted into the state, or?
Here's my recommendation, and I'm just telling you based on patterns that I've seen.
Far out. Okay.
Many people, if you are willing, you go ahead and you certify with the city. The city tends to be quicker. I've seen it happen in 3 weeks. I've also, I've seen it happen in a month. It all depends on how quickly you put the information, but they tend to be better at the certification time turnaround. Within that, you'll get a little button. It'll say, I want a fast track. You fast track, that goes to the state. How long it takes for the state to process the second half of that varies. I have heard 2 years. I have heard 2 months. It really does range. Because I don't audit the state, I don't look at the state the way I look at the city. I couldn't tell you exact data on how long it takes, but I can tell you testimony that it takes a long time, a very long time. So I always encourage people, if you can, certify with the city of New York and then fast track into the state.
Okay.
Have something right away.
All right, cool. All right, thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Marcus. Any other questions on certification? Okay, so we're gonna jump into.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat, and I think Patricia is too, so we're fine.
Okay, so we're handling it good. Okay, let's go into how to become a vendor. If people want to know what is it that you have to do to be a vendor with the City of New York, same rules still apply post-COVID, which means you have to be part of the pay information portal, which is PIP, and then you can find where you can view financial transactions for the City of New York, register for electronic funds, and report subcontractors on there. The best way to do it is really to go to the MOX contact form. That MOX is the mayor's of contracts, and make sure that is put in your information through that portal.
Okay. Is that what it's they're calling now for the second round of funding that is gonna come? Or no, this is different.
No, this is different. This is the city. This is the city.
Sorry.
I'm leaving the federal for last because
okay.
It'll be the last part of the presentation.
Okay. Sorry, I got confused with a P.
And things have changed in the last hour, so just to let everybody. Okay, grants and funds. If you all give me a raised hand on your computer, if you are aware of every grant and fund around the nation, we definitely are not. And so we have dedicated one of our team members, Kevway, who is not on the call today, to research on behalf of all of you what new grants and funds come out every single day so that we can inform people about what is available. So what you are seeing is something we have done as of yesterday. It's not an exhaustive list, but it is, it provides some overview. So it's a little long, so bear with me. You can take a screenshot of what you see if you would like. If not, then you can just wait. Patty will send you an email at the end of this with all the links. Okay. So here are some grants that you should know about and One of the grants that are particularly for minority and women is with Kirby, New York City's fashion designer founder, who announced a set aside of $100,000 for creative businesses. Then you hear this one a lot, which is Facebook, who's offering $100 million in cash grants and ad credits. And Google, who recently announced donating $200 million in investment funds to help nonprofits and financial institutions provide small businesses with capital. What that sounds like to me is that they likely will pick a nonprofit who can then provide grants for businesses. That seems to be the trend across the board. And then the links that you see there are where you can find it. Very important, this is not available as of yet. It is just an announcement. We wanted to make sure to put it in here because it will be showing you what you need to be looking out for. That way you are ahead of the game as things are coming out.
Okay, all right.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce Save Small Business Fund is also providing $5,000 grants to small employers that employ 3 to 20 people. Normally, they need to be located in economically vulnerable communities. And Hello Alice, and we just spoke to the head of Hello Alice, who is very excited about us getting this information out, is providing grants for up to $10,000 to be distributed to small business owners as well. The Freelancers Union is giving $1,000 per freelance household. This is temporarily closed, by the way, as of 4/8, but has been announced that it will be reopening. Then there's the 1517 fund that's offering $1,000 grants and startups for entrepreneurs, and that's to alleviate from the effects of COVID as well. Any questions on that before? Okay, let me go to the next one.
Nothing. Everybody's very happy.
Catherine, if you are willing to turn on your mic, since you created this, I will be happy to have you join me. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I wanted to talk about you want to talk just quickly about the New York Presbyterian grant?
Sure. So New York Presbyterian Hospital created a fund of $10 million to basically assist small businesses and institutions in the Northern Manhattan community, which is their catchment area. And, of course, it came out of a deep sentiment of brotherhood and sisterhood within the community, as they are an anchor institution. And even while the hospital was, facing a lot of incoming in terms of their emergency room and dealing with the health crisis, they understood that to be part of this community, they needed to also invest in our other institutions and businesses. So very simply, it's a 2-page application that small businesses and organizations, nonprofits can submit with a simple explanation as to how their business or organization has been impacted by the crisis. They should have seen at least a 25% decrease in their income in order to qualify. And then also we're qualifying a small business as under 100 employees. And so once the application is submitted with some supportive documents, they are reviewed, and the grants are between $5,000 and $25,000 based on the impact and also the size of the business. So everyone is welcome to apply, and you can find it at the HispanicFederation.org website /NOMA fund.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you very much, Catherine. That's very, very useful.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And the one thing, Wendy, I don't mean to take another extra 30 seconds, but as our small businesses are seeing the impact of this crisis, the one thing I have seen and would suggest for them to keep in mind is, please read those applications carefully Apply to everything that you can. I know that everyone has 1,000 other things probably that they are busy with in their own businesses and lives, but to the extent that these resources are available, as we've seen already, resources are going to start shrinking. And so now's the time to get your application in as quickly as possible, because we want to make sure you don't miss the window and the opportunity if money runs out.
Right. Thank you so much, Catherine. And if you have questions for Catherine, please give it through the chat, right? They can chat you. Catherine is the author of this grant. Not only the author, she was the one that had the idea to bring the hospital and Columbia together. So I just want to publicly thank you, Catherine, for that, because people really do need this service. And she's also a mommy and many other things. So, and my friend, I love her very much. So we'll rethink food next.
So I women loving women in business.
In business.
So we need to connect, Catherine. I would love to connect with you.
Excellent.
The next item on here is Rethink Food, who's offering New York City-based restaurants up to $40,000 in grants to stay open. And you have organizations, nonprofits like the Local Initiative Support Corporation, who's partnering up with Verizon, which is nice to see these big companies merging together to offer grants up to $10,000 for entrepreneurs of color, women-owned businesses, and businesses who have been historically underserved. This is reopening in mid-April. Again, another one to keep your eye out for as you are doing your research. Put a little dot on it, like get alert from Verizon grant. That way, we are doing it ourselves, but we have a full-time person that is dedicated to doing this. You want to make sure you don't miss the mark there. Salesforce Care Small Business Grants has also come out for businesses, and their applications are going to open on April 24th. I believe today is the 22nd, so in 2 days, that application process will be open, and you can see the website online on where you can find that information.
Okay. Question, Wendy. I hear the situation in the Bronx is now getting really, really difficult, and especially the food situation is really hard. There is no supplies for families. Is there any grant or any, one of this that is helping for food banks or for people to get more resources?
Meaning for nonprofits?
Yeah, food banks or
not for businesses.
No, for nonprofits, I mean.
Okay, so yes, there are definitely. I would recommend that you go to the New York City Comptroller's website. We have a section just for nonprofits and available resources for nonprofits. Today's presentation, I just focused it on businesses, so all your
right, I understand.
Related. But I believe Patty, if she is on my same wavelength, is probably already typing in the chat the Comptroller's website around where you can find resources for nonprofits. But they are definitely.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we move to the next one? Okay. So let's continue with additional available grants. There's the Donnie Fund offering $100 for Black-owned women businesses. There is the Red Backpack Fund giving up to $5,000 for just female entrepreneurs. Sorry, Marcus, who's on the call. I'm seeing his name. He's like the one right after me. But there's also the Amber Grant for women for making a grant up to $4,000 for one business every month. So that's kind of a new way to do it. Every month they pick one person in a lottery form. There is an application fee. It is $15. So you have to almost put in money to get money out. But just something to think through. Then there's also Fueled by Purpose Michael Grant, which is selecting $500 grant winner also randomly. So I think you'll probably see a lot of those random selections for business owners as well. You'll see these items coming up. Okay, any questions on grants? Because I'm going to move into federal now.
No, everybody's good.
Oh, good. Okay, wonderful. So let's move into the, well, what we call the economic injury disaster loan, which, by the way, is, as you all know, a disaster. On the news multiple times. If you are not aware, the federal disaster loan has been closed as of yesterday, and then as of this morning, they renegotiated $15 billion for the economic injury loan, an additional $50 billion, and then they also negotiated another $10 billion for the EIDL emergency grant program. I'm sorry, I think there was a question. Did I hear? No. No. Okay. And so that was just as of this morning in terms of what stats came out on that. And so now I can go through the details of what. Okay, so the Paycheck Protection Program and all right.
Okay.
Okay, the Paycheck Protection Program was passed on April 21st, just to give folks some background. And on April 22nd, they signed it into law. Just to give you context on how quickly this is moving and how it ran out. There was an additional $310 billion for the Paycheck Protection Program, with $60 billion set aside for small banks. That was 30 for financial institutions with less than 10 billion, and then another 30 billion for financial institutions with 10 to 50 billion in assets. 50 billion for the economic disaster loan, and then the additional 10 billion for the EIDL events. The big question is, how come there's all this money being announced, but New York is not seeing the benefits of it? Well, one of the studies done by Bloomberg found that as of today, 77% of eligible dollars in New York are not received, meaning we're not qualifying for this grant anyway. And if you look at states like Nebraska is only missing 25% of their funds. This is an issue because New York has one of the highest numbers when it comes to women and people of color, particularly, right, Latinas. And then you're also seeing the gap in how people bank and who they get to bank with. So a lot of these issues are even with the additional 50 billion and the additional 10 billion will be continuing because the criteria for the loan has not changed exponentially. It has not changed that much. So let me just go ahead and go to the next slide. So let me just tell you very quickly what the disaster loan is, because I know a lot of you already have a sense, so I'll hammer through this one. The loan is based on the actual economic injury of the company's financial needs. It can be used to pay fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, and any bill that cannot be paid because of the disaster impact. Eligible businesses include small businesses, so proprietors, nonprofits, small agricultural cooperatives. And Patty, I'm going to ask you to chime in. Were there any changes after this morning on eligible businesses?
No, no changes on eligibility.
Okay. And so for ineligible businesses, you have investment or lending companies, in case we have any of those on the line, businesses with more than 1/3 dedicated to gambling, casinos and racetracks, businesses of sexual nature, and then charitable and religious organizations. Many of you want to know how you can apply since it has opened back up and there's an additional 50 billion available. And you can go online and use this website that you see on here, just COVID-19relief.sba. The last time we checked with Small Business Administration, they told us this was Thursday, just so you can have a sense of the lapse. So now it's been about 4 days since we last spoke to them. They said that it would be between 4 days and 4 to 5 weeks. That could change as of this morning. So just keep those things in mind. They are checking your credit. They are looking at the terms on a case-by-case basis. The interest rate, if you are a business owner, is about 3.75%. And if you borrow more than $25,000, the SBA will request collateral. There's some nuances that they haven't decided on, and most of that is going to require is to see if whether they require real estate collateral for loans under $500,000. Again, small items, we still don't know the details on that. I'm sure later today we'll find out more.
Is this also based on payroll, like other programs?
Yes. So this is the only program. So I'm not sure like other programs, but what they're saying is, Patty, clarify, feel free to jump in. It's at 75% of the impact must be hitting payroll.
So that one is the PPP. This is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, which is just based on the actual economic injury and the financial needs. For this one, the SBA will actually determine how much you will be eligible for.
Okay.
But the 75% and then the loan that's specifically for payroll is the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program, which Wendy will go through next.
Okay.
All right. So what happens during your wait, right? So if it takes 4 days or if it takes 6 months, you still have to pay your employees. So one of the recommended items is that you can apply for an advance. The Emergency Economic Injury Advance provides up to $1,000 per employee, and then of course a maximum of $10,000 for 10. The amount of the advance will be determined by the number of employees as of January 31st. So if you have anything before then, it will not be included. The advance will also be made available in 3 days. Is it actually taking 3 days? We have seen surveys that no one is getting anything on time in terms of what they're saying. When we spoke with SBA, they're saying that that is coming in 3 days. Again, we are at a very fragile time in government and around the world. So will it come faster than the loan? I think it'll come faster than the loan. The advance, the highlight here is that it will not have to be repaid. So it will function as a transitional grant.
I did receive it yesterday with my business, my regular business.
Great.
I did receive it yesterday.
How many days did it take you?
The advance. I applied April 1st.
Okay. All right, so life testimony.
Yes.
Okay, the other option is that you can also look into, if you are already a business that has a relationship with the SBA, you can look at the Express Bridge Loan Pilot Program, which allows access up to $25,000, and it's also a quick turnaround. Go to the next slide. And the loan is really designed as a direct incentive. It's also forgivable. And it's the idea is that employees are kept on payroll for 8 weeks, and the money is used for payroll, rent, mortgage interest, and utilities or utility. This will end June 30th. Again, keep in mind that things are changing every day, but they're saying June 30th as of now. Below, you'll see on the screen of who can apply. That's small business owners, private nonprofit organizations, so proprietors, independent contractors, and self-employed persons. So for the consultants in the room, that should also include you.
Okay, I have a question about the PPP, and I did write yesterday to our two senators, Senator Booker and Senator Menendez, because this is very concerning that the way they have structured the PPP, only, especially for small businesses that are members. For instance, I have one member who is a dentist. She has a dental office in Soho. She's paying $14,000 in rent per month. However, she only has 2 employees. So unfortunately, you know, she practically can, I mean, she still can use the loan, the payable part of it, but what good it is to get that loan if it maybe in 8 weeks, you're not going to be reopening that office. Or people are going to be afraid of going back into, you know, physical contact offices. And in that, we have massage therapists, and we have hairdressers, and physical therapy, and ballroom dance studios, and so many. So what do you know about that, Wendy?
What do I know about, let me just rephrase the question. What do I know about how they will treat salons and hair salons and physical
massage, and you know, everything with physical
contact. I had a light conversation with Congressman Espaillat's office around how to deal with hair salons, because a large portion of his district has a large amount of hair salons, mostly women-owned and mostly Latina and Dominican-owned, and it is something that I believe they're having conversations about. Fortunately, this package, because as you know, this package is negotiated straight from the Trump administration. This package does not include any of those. Unless they're self-employed, it just all depends how people fill out their taxes. But there has not been, I haven't seen anything, and Patty, correct, maybe you've seen something, but there hasn't been anything in the stimulus package really addressing hair salons. I do think as a group, if this is an ongoing issue, it's something we can start advocacy on. I mean, I invite Catherine is also at the front lines of a lot of this. I don't know if she wants to chime in, but there are organizations like the Cosmetology Association who they have oversight over the full state salons who have started to address this issue. I think my understanding is that the way hair salons work and physical therapy, the common nuance there is that everyone is sort of self-employed, exists inside of inside of a space, and so under those circumstances, what you're really talking about is unemployment benefits, and so that is how the federal government, my understanding, is seeing it, in that they are seen as unemployed individuals. That was as of a few days ago. Again, maybe there's something.
Right. But the problem is the overhead that the owner of the salon or the dentist or whatever, it has to still hold, because it's, you know, sometimes you pay, especially in New York, terrible amount of rent and overhead.
I agree.
Yeah, so that has to have a special regulation or structure so that they can use that money for rent, and not thinking, okay, now we have a loan on top of the overhead.
Agree. There have been advocates who have called on a rent freeze. The Comptroller has been pushing for the same concept of this rent moratorium, that there has to be some discussion around how people are paying their rents. If you saw Cuomo announce that you cannot be evicted from your space for at the very minimum 90 days, And so if you are right now experiencing a landlord that is telling you you need to get out, you do not have to get out. And I'm gonna sound like Scott Stringer right now. You can call my office and email Patty Daylight, who's on, and email me as well. And we will get you all the standard language on the rent, on the rent moratorium right now.
Okay.
So at least for 90 days right now, you should have protection in the state of New York, not be kicked out of your space. There's a zero eviction law right now.
Okay, very good. So we will continue to advocate for this issue. We will.
Absolutely.
So we have about 5 more minutes
Okay,
on
so
the
why
session.
don't we go ahead and skip, we're just gonna go ahead and skip all the way to where you can get where you can get alternative loans. Go back to the right there, where you can get alternative loans outside of the federal government, since there is, which is more important. The Asian American for Equality and the Economic Development Corporation has come up with a partnership that also provides loans. And theirs is also neighborhood-based, focusing on Flushing, Jackson Heights, Bensonhurst, Bay Ridge, and you can see the list on there. Greenman America is also providing small loans from $2,000 to $15,000. And then why don't we go right into the next slide? And then you have JP Morgan, who's pledged $5 million to provide loans for just Black and Hispanic business owners. True Fund Financial Services is doing up to $10,000 and up to $75,000. There's a nuance there. There's a 3% interest on those payments. It can be deferred for 9 to 12 months, and there is an application fee of $250. And then there is Manifest, who's offering $2,000 and then 0 interest loans for brick and mortar business. Okay, we're gonna just go straight to the end, which is, if you have questions, email us. We have a team dedicated to help you with these. And then you can reach us at the email you see on your screen, which is diversity@comptroller.nyc.gov. And thank you, Susanna, for having us. Shout out to Patty on the line, who's always making sure things go smoothly. And
yes, she was fantastic.
Catherine, who is also on, who is part of making sure we have some solutions during this very hard time.
Right. And thank you, Wendy, for making yourself available. I know, so you're super busy. I see you working from home, surrounded by your kids, which is
they are in the refrigerator right now.
But I would love to continue this conversation, and I have some ideas that I would love to run by you regarding minority small business and women's certifications. So let's, we'll find the time once we make this big crisis a little bit, less challenging. Okay.
Definitely. Did you want us to take questions, or it's up to you?
Up to you. I have the time. If you have the time,
I can take. Yeah, I can.
Okay. So 3 new messages here. Let's see. Someone is saying, as a furniture store owner and woman with loan is better for me. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all the information. This was very useful. For the economic injury disaster loan, the SBA has told us that there is just the online application. Is that true?
That's my understanding. Was she looking for another form, or was it a paper form she was looking for?
I'm not sure.
That was my response to Sharon. Sharon asked, is the express application still the best way to apply? And they only asked the number. Yeah. So I responded, yes. To our knowledge, there's only the one application.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yes, I see, Patricia. But I thought to share. It's something about double dipping, Patricia. Someone asked you.
Yes. Someone asked, can you apply for both the PPP and the EIDL? So yes, you can apply for both. However, you cannot use both funds for the same amount. So if you get the PPP, obviously it's focused on payroll. And then if you get the economic injury disaster loan, you cannot use that for payroll again. Does that make sense?
Yes, at least for those 8 weeks, right?
Yes, yes.
At least for those 8
Yes.
weeks. Okay, very good. The other issue is that many employees now are collecting unemployment and they don't want to go back. Number one, because the businesses are still closed, right? And they're collecting unemployment. So
Well, that's a danger, isn't it? Because if those employees get caught collecting both from their employer as well as from unemployment, they're gonna get fined.
Yeah.
They're absolutely gonna get fined for that. And it might actually hurt the employer who's paying them as well.
correct. Yeah.
Have they put that in consideration?
Wendy?
I'm sorry, I couldn't, I was hearing in and out. I didn't hear Marcus's.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had a
No, it's,
We're
we're on the internet. It's like, I just saw you freeze for a second. I was like,
That's my usual state. So a curious question is that employers who get this PPP loan and who are willing to pay their employees out of that, but the employees have already signed up for unemployment, they can't collect unemployment as well as collect money from their employer. Otherwise, not only will they get fined, but the employer might get in trouble for that as well.
yeah, I haven't heard of that situation as of yet. We can look into that, but I mean, it's a general rule is that you cannot collect from 2 federal spaces. That's just general government rule, and they've been super clear on that. I mean, we can ask the Small Business Service Administration to give you a very clarified, because that's a very microscopic situation, like collecting from your employer and then collecting unemployment. There is nuance on there around being part-time in terms of unemployment, but I'm not as familiar with unemployment laws, so we can take a look. And I'm like inside laughing because Patty yesterday was just telling me, we need to do a thing on unemployment. I was like, oh, man.
I believe you can collect if it's partial. You can collect partial, but you need to report that to your unemployment agency.
You can't grab from both of them.
No.
It has to.
No, but with the addition of the 600, a lot of people are making more money now with unemployment that they were doing with salary.
Because I'm sorry, I would do that.
So I have another question. Someone got denied the SBA loan, the injury loan, and the disaster injury loan, but because funds were not available, and she's asking if she has to reapply, or they just will consider for the next round.
No, reapply. They were very explicit in saying that if you didn't get in the first round, you need to resubmit your application, that they don't have the capacity to keep any old applications.
Okay, all right. Okay, in order to offer cleaning services to the city agencies, the company has to be WBE certified?
So the answer is no. I just want to give you the nuance. So in order to do business with the city of New York, you do not have to be certified at all. You just need to be a business owner with a good business that can pass through the city nuances. So that's for everyone. In order to qualify for the MWB procurement rules, for example, the city of New York has a method that's called the MWB purchase method. And we use that if, let's say, it's $100,000 and they want to pay you $100,000 to clean the first floor and the 5th floor in our building. In order for us to use that method and you not to compete with another business, you must be MWB certified with the city of New York. So there are purchase methods that we use on the inside agencies that can only be used on certified entities, that cannot be used on us. So it doesn't matter if I'm Wendy Garcia and I'm clearly a Dominican woman and I walk in there, I will be categorized as a white man if I don't certify.
Okay, okay. Is it true that they're only considering the 2019 data or data?
So from what we've seen from the requirements, you had to be in operation as of February 15th, 2020.
Okay, okay, very good. All right. I think pretty much some of my clients start payroll this year, will they? Some of my clients only started payroll this year. Will they still qualify for the PPP law? PPE loan? PPP, I guess they wanted to say, from Glennis.
Okay, that's the same answer. If they weren't in
Yeah.
business last year, it's the same answer.
Okay, okay. I think pretty much we have covered. Patty, do you think we pretty much covered all the questions there that you've seen?
Yeah, I think we
Okay.
have.
Okay.
Wendy, do you want to talk about upcoming webinars, just because all
Yeah,
of this information is changing every single day?
Okay, great.
Yeah, I just wanted to, can you pull it up on the screen? I guess I wanted to do a quick plug. I know that this organization is doing really great at making sure that you are all informed. But just in case you have someone that missed this presentation today, we are doing this exact same presentation tomorrow in the morning at 11 o'clock. So every Tuesday and Thursday, we will be giving this presentation to businesses that need. It changes depending on what comes out through the federal government. It also changes because we add new grant opportunities. And so if there's new grants that we find, we add them on. They're super similar. So if you know of a friend that didn't get to hear today, feel free to tell them to log on tomorrow. If not, we are back on Tuesday, and then on Thursday. And we're doing this through May 14th, so about a month.
Okay. Are you going to let us know if you do something about unemployment so we can have another meeting?
So we will likely not do something particularly on unemployment.
Okay.
We will get you the information needed around unemployment. We could, if you are interested in something very specific on unemployment, then I can pull all the experts in my office who have oversight over that, who have labor knowledge, because it really does require someone who understands the Department of Labor. Then I will be happy to coordinate with you and get you those experts, because I want to make sure that you have the right people in the virtual room.
Yeah, especially for now, the new program, the pandemic unemployment something, the PUA. So that will be very useful.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Appreciate it. Please stay safe and keep your family safe. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.